Good afternoon, and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. Where do we go from here? I've been on WhatsApp chats there. People talking about Brendan Rodgers and the board. Brendan Rodgers has been on Radio Scotland saying that Cameron Carter-Vickers goes in for his operation tomorrow. He's reiterating the fact that this is all down to the transfer window in the summer. I'm just listening to... I'm just waiting to see if Brendan Rodgers is coming on to Sky. It is all mounting for Brendan Rodgers. So the question on the poll this afternoon is, what do you want at Celtic? Do you want a new manager? Do you want a new board? Or do you want both? I think the big question, I think the answer is that we all want both, don't we? I kind of hoped that some of the decisions that Brendan made today were baffling, to say the least. And I don't think there's one Celtic fan that can really defend Brendan Rodgers with some of the decisions that he made before the game. You can understand why Trusty didn't get a game, but was it worth the risk of putting on so many young players? It does show you how bad we are at Celtic at the moment. It shows you that we're in an unbelievable place. And it's the board's fault at the end of the day. It's the board that are to blame for us being in this current situation. But the manager has to do better with the players. The fact that we're at the end of October, and when you look at the games that Celtic have coming up this week, it's unbelievable that we've went and this is let's face it, this is our worst nightmare. We thought with the Sturm Graz game, we thought, yep, we can head into this weekend, we can head into the next week confident that Celtic maybe have turned the corner. And then we go and play Rio Hatate, who just, I think the big question should be is, does Rio Hatate need dropped? Because Rio Hatate in that first half was woeful. His passing was terrible. Whatever happened at half time changed Cal Mack. Cal Mack was amazing the first half. Whatever Brendan Rodgers said at half time, whether he told Cal Mack to stay back and protect the defence, it's on Brendan Rodgers. And I never like to say it, but when you go from the results that we've had, a late winner on against Motherwell to win 3-2, to getting beat off Dundee, never heard of since the 1980s, up in Dundee. Good result against Sturm Graz, I think we turned the corner, but then we got done over today. Let's not take it away from Hearts. We got done over in the second half. Completely done over. And that lies with the manager. We then go to a game on Wednesday night, back at Celtic Park. And I'm expecting big response from the Celtic fan base against the board. And the actions against the board now, if you want to ramp that up on a daily basis, I think that it's maybe needed. There was rumours this morning about a potential change on the board next week to try and appease the fans, but it's too little too late. It's too little too late. If you drop anything at all against Falkirk at Celtic Park on Wednesday night, we've all known that we've been watching the beginning of the end of the Brendan Rodgers era. If he's to go at the end of the season, we know that we're watching the beginning of the end. But the way that they were dramatically in decline over the last couple of weeks and months is unbelievable. when you go back to the game against Newcastle at pre-season, and we done quite well against Newcastle, when you're thinking, yep, it could be a good season ahead, but it still wasn't a great pre-season. We go into the Scottish League Cup semi-final against Rangers. There's Brendan Rodgers coming on. Let me just see what he has to say.
Both teams been great. I didn't think there was a lot in the game. We obviously go behind. You're having to deal with a lot of direct ball, and I thought we coped in the main with that pretty well. But we go behind in the game, show a really good reaction.
Yeah, we had a good reaction. We had a good 25 minutes after that.
Pretty well.
But you can't play for 25 minutes, Brendan.
When the ball goes back and we have the long direct ball, we should be up when squeezed up on that, which leaves them offside. We don't. And then becomes a fight. And then our disappointment is the shot. Highlight the young winger who comes in and likes to get shots off. We dealt with that in the first half. The second half we didn't show enough determination when he cuts inside to stop the shot. And all of a sudden it's 2-1. Make another quick mistake for the penalty. And then you're 3-1 behind. And then after that we had enough of the ball, get to some really good areas. James Forrest come in, really helped us to secure the ball and take the ball. We never really threatened so much.
No, we never threatened at all, Brendan.
So overall, a game that was clearly something was there for us to take at least a point, and we ended up losing the game.
To take at least a point. I've never heard. Benjamin Negrin, he takes his chance and scores. It's a different game. Brendan's been asked how the team's struggling.
Reasons for that, but really, all of that's irrelevant. We've got so many games to play, and thankfully, in the context of it all, there's 29 games to play.
There's 29 games still to play.
And I said that to the players beforehand, that whichever way this game goes, context of all it, there's so much to play for.
Brendan Rodgers said before the game to the players, whatever way this game goes, there's still 29 games to play. That is not the conversation you want a manager to be having. It doesn't matter which way this game goes, there's a lot of football to be played. You want your manager to be motivating the players. That's a manager that's accepting that we're not at the races.
With limited time to work, we have to keep the confidence in the team.
With limited time to work, we have to keep the confidence in the team.
This is different for you because your team maybe haven't had to be the chasers. So does that change of mentality require?
Well, I think you can only really focus on yourselves. I think if we look at a performance today, it's too many loose passes.
Too many loose passes,
Not as great as we would have wanted.
says Brendan Rodgers. So why does he week on week take and play Rio Hitati?
And then obviously confidence comes back. So yeah, but it's where we're at. But
It's where we're at.
The answers in the dressing room just now. Do you feel
Is the answers in the dressing room, Brendan Rodgers is asked.
well, that's what we're concentrating on. There's lots of work going on with the players on and off the pitch.
There's a lot of work going on with the players on and off the pitch.
Very, very good performance.
Thursday night was a great performance.
Quality in the game.
Quality.
But you've got to do that consistently. And that's a challenge for players, obviously, playing every midweek and getting into that. That's been a big club. You've got to deal with that.
what can you do to get more out of the team?
What can Brendan Rodgers do to get more out of the team?
I'm working day and night
I'm working day and night.
to maximise the extent to which we can play the game.
Aye, he's fucking at it now, isn't he?
So that's always something that you look at. We get it after Dundee, we get the performance, and it'll be the same after this one here. So yeah, my motivation's never been higher to
My motivation's never been higher. It doesn't look like it.
this team playing to a level that we want to.
I know you've said that there's a lot of games coming up very quickly. Do you have to look and maybe think that we need to change something in your approach to try and get more out of the team, or just find that spark again?
He's been asked if he needs to change his approach
When you're at a club like Celtic,
when you're at a club like Celtic.
plan A, plan B, plan B. Celtic's a club whose DNA is playing football.
He's just said,
when we play to that identity, Hearts, you can see it's totally different. It's a different.
Brendan Rodgers is just talking shite now, isn't he?
Supporters love that.
He's just talking pish.
It's set pieces, all that.
You don't have an A, B or C game plan. You just have a game plan for playing football.
The systems are relevant.
The systems are relevant.
But your style of football, and the style of Celtic is fast attacking football. And at the moment,
Fast attacking football, says Brendan. Well, we're not getting fast attacking football, are we? That's the...
in order to deliver more consistent results.
But it is Hearts that are 8 points ahead.
Yeah, we know it's Hearts that are 8 points ahead. Don't need to tell us.
The season's gone in.
Fair play to them. They were ahead 40 years ago and they lost the league. Do you know what I mean? That's all I'll say. They were ahead 40 years ago and they lost the league then. So no, 29 games Brendan Rodgers is reiterating again.
Last game in May. We haven't made the start that we want.
We haven't made the start that we want.
We have to keep believing.
We have to keep believing and keep working with these players.
Appreciate your time.
Questions from Luke there. What did you make of some of those answers from Brendan Rodgers?
He's got a big challenge on his hands.
Neil Lennon says he's got a big challenge on his hand.
You want to play, fast-flowing football, but we're obviously not seeing that at the minute in the last couple of games for sure domestically.
It's funny that Neil Lennon's at every single Celtic game commentating just now, even though he's the manager of a football club. It's not often that you get a manager of a football club doing so much commentating as what Neil's doing at Celtic games. Anyway, I have asked a poll today. What do you want at Celtic? Do you want a new manager? Do you want a new board? Or do you want both? 23% a new manager, 27% a new board, 49% say both. It is a difficult time for Celtic if they do change manager at this point, because the new manager is going to want to come in and
Consistent performances from the players, that's what he's looking for.
do
Do they have the quality?
they have the quality?
They're just not
Neil Lennon says.
getting enough out of certain individuals at the minute. That's for sure. I just find that so disrespectful. Like when you listen to the way that Hearts have bullied Celtic all over that pitch, and then to question the way the Derek McInnes or Hearts teams play because the Celtic team didn't come here and dominate and win. They got bullied. Deal with it. You speak about fast attacking style player footballer. You need to find a good Celtic's DNA. He's talking about that there. That's not a DNA. Winning is Celtic's DNA. If you can add that in.
Listening to Chris Boyd, he's got fucking nerves talking about everywhere considering the state that his club's in. Anyway, switching the telly off, I had enough of that shite for the day. Subbing tonight, it was unbelievable. There's some of the decisions today, even I'll admit, were bonkers. When we go into November, we're going into November next week, and obviously the first game in November is Rangers at Hampden. If we lose that, and then we go into the 6th of November, we're an away game in Europe. It's looking likely we'll lose that. We then have Kilmarnock at Celtic Park. There's no confidence there. Can Brendan Rodgers get to Kilmarnock at Celtic Park and get a win? We're away to St Mirren. That's never an easy game. Then Feyenoord. Could the humiliation of getting absolutely hammered by Feyenoord on the 27th of November, or even Hibernian, could it be the double from an Edinburgh side that, and Rangers? I mean, we're now looking at the worst case scenario, and if we do go through November and we lose a lot of games, the cries for change at Celtic will ring even worse. And I don't think that I think the board will then have to have a decision to make, because the club cannot be seen to go back any further than what it's already going. It cannot be seen to go further back from the disastrous summer that we had. I don't think that there's any manager that can get any more out of these players, because I think there's a lot of these players that are not good enough for Celtic. The Dyson Maeda situation, it seems like Dyson Maeda does not trust Brendan Rodgers or believe Brendan Rodgers, and And I'm going to say it, I think that Daizen Maeda's feigning injury so that he doesn't have to. Listen, he's well within his right. Don't know, Celtic promised him a move away. Celtic changed their mind. There won't be any change until the current board is removed. But the current board could make change, and they could blame everything on Brendan Rodgers. So what are we going to do? Let him sit and do fuck all, says Kieran. Do you know, we sack the manager and then it's fine. It's not like Celtic to sack a manager for just a couple of defeats, but it's not just a couple of defeats now, is it? If the board are looking, and if the talk has got to the stage where Brendan Rodgers has acknowledged that there's no way there's going to be a deal done, the Celtic board should be looking at a new manager by now. The Celtic board should be looking at a replacement. Who is that replacement? We don't know. We can only guess. But the thing is, it's the people that made the mistakes. This is the reality where Celtic are. It's the people who made the mistakes in the boardroom in the summer that will be in charge of making the next manager. I just don't know where we go as a fan base at this moment, because we all want change at the club. We all want the best for the club. The manager's not getting the best out of the players. That's become apparent. That's become more than apparent. Whether that be due to the fact that players have been promised things by the club, and then you've got to question the players that the club have brought in. Chasing Mikel Ange Belwisha for 2 years, and the quality of that player that's come in, he can't chase back. He refuses to chase back at any pace. McGregor's forward passing and runs made the difference in the first half, back to his old ways in the second half. Yeah, I said that during the game. What did Brendan Rodgers say to Callum McGregor? What did Brendan Rodgers say to Callum McGregor during that game to stop him running forward, to stop him being creative, to stop him making chances? Because in the second half, Callum was sitting way back in his position in front of the defenders. That's the manager that's done that. That's the manager. Scott Brown will not come to Celtic because his number 2 won't be accepted at Celtic. He won't change. Scott Brown will not walk away from his best mate, who is his current number 2. So you can forget about Scott Brown coming to Celtic. And I don't think that Scott Brown's the answer right now. We need a manager with experience. We need a manager that has the experience of winning things. And it just doesn't look good. It's unbelievable. Hart sat a marker on Callum in the second half. How long is Rodgers going to last? Said Paddy. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I hoped that... I think that when we've seen the performance of the players on Thursday night, when you see and you see how good that everything was on Thursday night, and it was there and thereabout for 25 minutes of the second half, the first half. I mean, after we went a goal down, you're thinking, towards the end of the first half, you're thinking there's only going to be one winner in this, and it's Celtic. But within 10 minutes of the game starting, Celtic had regressed into some kind of shell. The fans won't be taking any excuses from the manager. He's been trying to keep the fans on side. Now he's lost. Brendan Rodgers wants sacked. I think if he does want sacked, and then there is some, if there is some truth then in the leaked dossier, the leaked document to the Sun newspaper, whoever leaked that, and it all goes back to Lawwell, Thursday was papering over the cracks. Something toxic in that dressing room. I said that as well. I mean, I was hoping that it wasn't going to be the case. I said, let's come back down to earth, because it's not Europe that we're really worried about. Brendan Rodgers doesn't know how to get the low block, how to play past the low block. Thomas Shanklin laughing at all my sides. Just remember 40 years ago, mate, when Celtic won the league on the last day of the season. It's not over till the fat lady sings. Let's see if you're still laughing at the end of the season. Anyway, just as fucked as Rodgers and the board war is killing the fans and the players. I think it is, isn't it? I mean, fair play to Hearts. They played the second half the way that you would want a team to play the second half. Celtic played the second half like a way that I still don't understand how Callum could have been so good that first half and then so bad the second. That comes from something that the manager says at half time. And maybe it is time for a new manager. But who do we bring in? Whom do we bring in to Celtic? That's the big issue. Because managers during a season can't change too much. Managers during this stage of the he's going to have the same players that were brought in during the summer. You've got November, December to go. And November and December are notoriously bad months. Busy months, should I say. They're not bad months. But do we keep the manager, or do we get rid of the manager just now? I mean, I can't believe that we're actually having this conversation. But the reality is we're 8 points behind. And there's not many managers that have went 8 points behind. If this was Rangers, and we were 8 points behind Rangers, would be sacked. Are we paying a disrespect to Hearts, thinking that they'll fall away? Is that disrespectful to Hearts? Because they're top of the table on merit. They've drawn one game. Can they keep that going ultimately to the end of the season? It doesn't matter if they do or not, because are Celtic good enough to close an 8-point gap now? You're looking for Hearts to lose 3 games. And yes, they may lose that over the course of the season, but we're not good enough to go on an unbeaten run. And that's the issue. And that's where we find ourselves. Ange will be back. Scott, you were at the game. I've seen a few fifers on the telly that were at the game as the camera panned round to the Celtic fans. They didn't look impressed. Do you think that Ange Postecoglou may take the position of Celtic manager until the end of the season? Do you know? Maybe that is something. Went still a long time ago. The signs were there all season. The board are devoid of ideas, scrambling. Finally caught up with them. Yeah, it has that. Yeah, the boy that Tony Bloom. I mean, yeah, shocking game, mate. Yeah, I know it was Tony Scott. It was fucking terrible. Try sitting in here and having your face all over the fucking screen talking about it. Bad enough being at the game, but I don't know the way forward. I think that Ange isn't the answer, but can he come in on a short-term basis? Jota's not back until the end of this, till around about the same time as Cameron Carter-Vickers. We're going to have to go out and spend money to try and win this title. The backroom staff needs changing. Been there for too long. Yeah, I'm all for that. I'm all for changing the backroom staff. But if Brendan Rodgers is to be sacked over the next couple of weeks, which is looking likely. Ange is not the answer. It was amazing before. I'm even coming to terms with the fact that would you take Ange? Ange will not be back. Not with the board in charge. Jota will be back in the new year. Will he though? I mean, that was at the earliest. It's going to be an interesting season this year. There's one thing is Brendan Rodgers has lost his spark, both in the dressing room and on the pitch. Rodgers talking about the fact that, that he's trying to motivate players. He has the look of a manager that is completely broken and default of any ideas. Let's face it. When you look at the league table doesn't lie. Hearts are sitting there, top of the table, 25 points. Celtic are sitting a shitload of points behind them. I don't want to look at it. It's always difficult. Big Ange sacked twice in 6 months. Brenda Purple Lips after jab tarts. Hey, there we go. Got your wee comment. When we concede goals and the camera goes to the bench, Kennedy never looks bothered, motionless. Yeah. And he's always been like that. He's always been like that over the years. Jota's already a light training away from the squad. Jota's not the answer though, is he? It's not just Jota. One player's not going to win us this season. When you look at the players that are out injured long term and the players that we've allowed to leave, Shin Yamada's not the answer. I didn't see anything from Shin Yamada today that showed me that he's better than Kyogo Furuhashi. Questions after next Sunday. If we can't beat the Giant Huns, what's going to happen? That is a big question for next Sunday. Anyway, we did do a poll. It's had over 250 votes. What do you want at Celtic? Do you want a new manager, a new board, or both? 23% say new manager, and 29% say new board. 48% say both. And I'm going to end that poll there. As much as I'd like to stand around and chat to you all day, I'm as gutted as you lot, and I'm just going to go and have a little moment to myself, and then go and make some Sunday lunch. That's what it is. We only had 11 starters, and any of them get injured. It's not looking good until January. Hearts could be double digits ahead. I don't think Hearts are the big issue. I'm looking behind us now, because there'll be teams that will be thinking that they can overtake Celtic. And if that happens, Brendan Rodgers has to go. Anyway, on that note, have an absolutely wonderful day wherever you are. But I know that you won't, because, let's face it, we're fucking shite. And it's going to be a funny old week when it comes to Celtic. A week that we may not be looking forward to, but a week that we need to face up to. Celtic play Falkirk at home at Celtic Park. There will be massive protest against the board. There could be even protest against Brendan Rodgers come the end of that game. But there's one thing for sure. With no Green Brigade, with no boys ultras at Hampden Park next week, there will be a lack of noise throughout the game. There could be an eerie silence at Hampden Park at the Celtic end. Something that's never been heard for a long, long time. That could motivate the other team and motivate a new manager. Let's hope it doesn't. But if it does, there could be a troubling few weeks coming up for Celtic and Celtic fans.